Right, okay, so say we wanted to create a turntable of this, or more importantly, an interactive turntable. Now it does matter which version of KeyShot Pro you use, or KeyShot, because some of the versions you might not be able to do this. So if you haven't got access to these tools I'm about to show you, it's because you haven't got the Pro version, okay? So you won't be able to do some of this stuff. So what we're going to do is create a turntable, but our render size, we don't actually need to be that big. So I'm going to go down to render here, and I'm going to set this on maybe 800, so not so big. And the quality and also the output, I'm going to output these as JPEGs. The quality I'm going to just put on maximum samples. I don't want anything too high here, and I don't need to do any of the outputs. So I just set it up like that, and I'll just leave it like that for now. Okay, right, now to render this out as a turntable, we need to come back into, you can get to it via down here, but I can come back into the render, and we're going to select KeyShot VR. So if this is not available to you, then it means you haven't got the Pro version and you won't be able to follow along. So the first thing we need to do is we need to tell it what to focus on. So I'm going to select this as object, and you'll notice that my actual screen will change a little bit. So that will tell me that it's in this kind of mode. And now we need to do is to tell it a few things in these settings. Okay, so in here I've got the resolution, we already set that. The image quality I've got on 80. I can probably just reduce this down a little bit more. You can actually preview it here, but it doesn't work that well. So yeah, just leave it like that. And I'm going to tell it where I'm going to put this stuff, which in this case is going to be on my desktop. So I'm going to select that, save that off, and this is the name that you've got for it. So I'm going to call this underscore turntable. Okay, and down here we've got loading screens. You can play around with all these things. Allow full screen mode by double clicking, and you've got other stuff in here. You've got zoom in, you've got all these things. You can play around with all of these, but what I want it to do is I want vertical angle to begin at 0. Now the reason I choose 0 is because I don't want it, if I choose -90, it means I can go underneath. I can actually go underneath the model, and I want it to be at model at 0. So if I change this, I can set this to 0 on here. Just hit enter. Horizontally round, I want it to do a 180. I want it to do 360. So -180 to +180 will be a full 360 degrees. And the vertical end, I just want this to end at 90 on here. Yeah, so it will be from 0 to 90 at the top of the model. Okay, good. And now if I come down here, image quality 70, that's fine. Loading screen, image rotation, you can leave all those as standard. And we can tell it the amount of frames. Now the more frames you put in, the smoother it will be, but obviously the longer it will take to render out. So I'll leave it on 18 horizontal, so it'll be 18 ones going around it, and vertical will be 9 going up. Okay, so it will produce quite a lot of images. And now we can just hit the render. And it will start to render it out. So you notice it's going from 0, which is ground level, and it will start to rotate around, and then it will go up one level and it will rotate all the way around, etc, etc. So you'll see it at the end. So as you can see, it's still rendering, and you'll see that it's slightly higher now. It's not on ground level, so it's on sort of value number 1. It's gone a percentage higher, and it's going to go 9 percentages until it gets to 90 degrees on the model. The 90 degrees obviously is looking straight down at the model. So this is on degree 1 at the moment, so it'll keep, well, degree 1 was done, it's on degree 2, and it will carry on working its way. So it produces a lot of images out to get this out. So the more images you add, or the more frames that you do, vertical and horizontal, will add to the render time. Also the size of the actual render itself. So if you're going to like 4000, it's going to take a long time to do. It will do it, but I suggest if you're going to do a real high res render like that, then you should maybe leave it running overnight. Definitely if you're going to put it on the web, you don't want to do it that size. It's just too big. It would take too long for it to load up on someone's browser. So you might want to keep it a nice little size like this, 800, and then it will load up relatively quickly online, so someone's viewing it as a product or something. So bear that in mind when you're doing these renders out, and just play around with KeyShot VR. It's very cool. And you've also got the option to go into an animation tab here, so you can actually animate the model to do things like exploding and turning around, but you won't have the KeyShot functionality where you can push the mouse up and down to rotate around the object. But yeah, definitely play around with these, but this is probably one of the most useful ones for product shoots, definitely, because you can pan and zoom around the actual concept itself. Yeah, I've actually spotted a little mistake on this model as well. I did this little grill piece in here to represent this piece, but on the other side I forgot to put it into that colour. So just watch out for things like that, but for the sake of this training course it's going to be fine. And in the actual render I did, you couldn't really see it, so it sort of added to it, but I just noticed it on the turntable that I couldn't see the grill on that side. But you know, it's all good. You can change that in 5 minutes and do another render out, and that's the benefit of KeyShot. It's very quick to make these changes and not waste a lot of time. You can get straight into it. So it's a very cool program. There's another program called, I think it's called Bunk Speed or something, and that does a similar thing to KeyShot, but I just prefer KeyShot. It's I think it's just better, really. Okay, so KeyShot is finished now. You might also notice that the set the camera up differently. Oh, what's going on? Let me have a look. Yep, turn that off. Turn that off. Let's just turn that off. Great. Alright, so in here we can still jump to our view, but it's changed it. So you need to make sure that if you want to save this out, I would save it, any animation out, as a separate file. So we've got final there, and I'm going to call this one turntable, just so that it saves this one out and you don't have to you haven't lost any of the camera positions. Just a note. So let's now have a look on our desktop and see what it's produced for us. So I'm going to just quit KeyShot, and you'll notice that it's actually created a folder in here called Headphones Turntable. So if I click this open, we'll have a look. It's got instructions here, and it's got the actual turntable HTML there. Now, if you've got the website designer, you might want to send him all these files and he'll just incorporate it in for you. But let's have a look in the headphones turntable. Now you'll notice in there a series of files, or a series of images, and this 0 in front here denotes the first pass, or the first turn. It will go up to 9 because we set 9, and then, or 10, sorry, and then it will go on and it will produce the rest. Actually, it's strange. Actually, it should be, yeah, sorry, 18, and then it will go up to level 1. You know, horizontally. So this is the level horizontally, and number 1 here, this front number, is the vertical. So when I go to there, it will lift slightly higher. This will be dropped down, and so forth, and it will go all the way up to 9 or 8 here, because we've got 0 here. So 8 here would be 9 steps. Okay. So let's just open up the headphones turntable. You can view the instructions to see here what you need to upload to your website. Gives you a bit of information there. But if I just open the turntable HTML file, which is opened on a new screen, and I'll bring this in now, because I'm locally hosting this, it will be very quick. But now with the mouse, I can just turn around and I can zoom up up and around the object. I'm just holding the left hand mouse button and I'm dragging around. If you've got a touch sensitive device, you can just touch it with your finger and move it around. So very cool. Now you notice it's not brilliant quality, but if I'd up the quality when I produce this out, then this image will be better. Because it's a low quality image, it's actually turning and moving really quickly if you were to put this on the website. Okay, also there will be a little loader when it's loading into a website. A little loader will come up until all the images are loaded and cached in your browser, so that it will allow smooth movement of the actual image themselves. And you'll notice if you do this, you can spin it around like this. Yeah, so pretty cool. So that's how to produce a turntable, an interactive turntable from KeyShot very quickly. I'll include these files inside of the project as well. Now the last thing I wanted to talk about in the next lesson will be adding labels. So let's talk a little bit about that to end this KeyShot 5 rendering course. Okay, back in this project, say for instance your client says, actually, yeah, I like that model, but I want to put my logo, my whole Pulse logo in red on here. So you say, okay, we'll send over your model and I will actually put it in for you. I'm just going to change this over to this. Hold on, let me just break the connection here. It's bugging me, so yeah, there we go. So how quick that was. So yeah, so you say, right, okay, well send your logo over and I'll put it on there for you. Because what we can do is we can double click this and we can come into what's called labels in here. And we can add a label in. So I'm going to go to my folder here and I'm just going to go and find where I've put this Pulse logo, which is inside the reference folder, which I've supplied for you. So I'm going to open this up. And what you need to do is, because we don't want this white around the outside of the logo, we need to make it a PNG file. So what I'm going to do is grab the magic wand tool. I'm going to click the layer, just make it layer 0. I'm going to click in here once with the magic wand and just delete it out. Like that. So it gives us a transparent. So what I can do now is I can save for web or save as, make sure I've selected PNG file here, and then I can save this. I'll save it in the folder, in the reference folder. Now I can close this down and not save it. So now I've got this PNG file which has got an alpha, yeah, all that's clear. So now I can go back into KeyShot. Once I've picked the part I'm going to put the label on, which I have, I'm going to go into label and I'm going to just select here, just the plus sign. Now I'm going to go and locate my piece, which is under reference, and it's a PNG file, and I'm going to click open. Now at the moment you can't see anything, but what I need to do is get it in a position. So I'm going to get it about here and click there, and there we go, something's appeared. So let's just click done for now, and let's just scale this down. And there we go. Pretty cool, eh? And of course the angle. Let's translate this 180 degrees. There we go. I can just shift the Y position if it's just a little bit too high. Bring this down to 4. Yeah, actually, you know what? I think 0. I think that was fine. Okay, so look how easy it was for me to add that on there. Really quick, and now it's part of this model. Yeah. So that brings us to the end of the course. I hope you've enjoyed this KeyShot course. If you're into rendering out in Mental Ray within Maya, I'm going to do the same course, but I'm going to be rendering this object out in Maya. which is a little bit more involved because Keyshot is really quick. So anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this course and learnt a lot from using Keyshot 5.